Hi everybody, my name is Jon Vedas. I'm here to talk to you a little bit today about my motorcycle. It's a 1974 Triumph 650, and basically what it is I thought about restoring it, but I really didn't too much like the way they would look stock. They were starting to get a little bit on the Japanese looking side, if you will. And I've always been a big fan of dirt tracking, so I said to myself, well, why don't I just try to turn this thing into like a street tracker? So I bought it in 1982 for $150. Rode it for a couple of years, but that was always my dream, to take it down basically to the frame and do a bottom up. I don't want to use the word restore, let's just call it a custom rebuild, if you will. The engine is a 650 Triumph. Like we said earlier, it's a 1974, which is very odd in a way because it's the only 650 Triumph that I've ever seen, commonly referred to as a T120, with a triple row primary chain. The stock 650s came with a two-row primary chain located right here behind the primary cover, obviously. A lot of characteristics from the 750 engine obviously made it here. My view basically is that the Triumph was right at the end of their existence, and they were pretty much probably putting together anything they could out of the factory. So anyway, let's kind of start with what we did. Other than a couple of engine rebuilds through time, I want to kind of concentrate on what we did, the last main thing that we did to it, which basically was take everything down, pull the engine out of it, drop the front end, remove all the electrical, take and grind off any tabs that I weren't going to be using, such as blinker tabs and so forth. As you can see, the bike, I like the old school blinker, the old left hand out. And so we, once we got the frame the way we liked it, we cleaned all the paint off of it and then took it to the powder coater. East Coast Powder Coating did the powder coating job for me, and if you'll see, they did a real nice job here. The frame at one time from the factory, they were painted black, and believe me, Triumph laid down some pretty good paint back in the day. It took us quite some time to get this thing stripped to a point where we weren't going to be ashamed to take it to the powder coater so they could put the final sandblast coat on it. This is basically one of their aluminum powder coats, and I went ahead and went the extra $1 and had them put a coat of clear on it. And I had about 3 or 4 people approach me this year at the British and the Blue Ridge, and were under the impression that it was an aluminum Trackmaster frame. So kudos goes out to the cats over at East Coast Powder Tech. The wheels, both of the wheels were pretty rusty. The rims, should I say. And so I went ahead and forked out the money and grabbed me a couple of rims. They were only probably about $135 a piece, chrome, fair. And then we stepped it up a little bit and respoked it. I used the stainless steel spokes from Buchanan Spoke and Wheel. Folks, I use spokes from a lot of different companies out there, and I've got to tell you, Buchanan, they are definitely the people to go to if you need a nice high quality stainless steel spoke. Little plug out to those guys as well. They do MG wheels, a lot of the dirt bike wheels and so forth, and they've been in the game a long time. I called them up. 3 days later I had my spokes. They were about $85 a set. Got a friend of mine to lace and true them. I'm not that artistic just as of yet. So that kind of took care of the wheels. The front end pretty much left stock. Took the front fender off of it to give it that dirt track look that we were speaking about earlier. I did go in and replace the springs in it with progressive springs, and then just a little bit of polishing. Spend a little bit of time on the polishing wheel, and folks, a polishing thing is not as bad as you think. If you start clean, stay clean, a little bit of sanding, a nice buffing wheel, it's not that much work, especially on rounded objects. Did the same with the primary case, so we basically got all of our body parts chromed and so forth, or polished, should I say. We found this on eBay, this headlight bucket, very similar to the stock Triumph, with the exception of it doesn't have the ammeter hole cut away like the stock one did in it. This item was about, I'm going to say about $45, so it was very, very fair price, and so far I'm happy with the way the chrome's held up. Converted the old headlight bulb. If you English guys know all about Lucas, the Prince of Darkness, we converted this into an H4 setup, so that all went together nicely. I put a stainless brake line on here, went Japanese with the master cylinder. That's still going to probably need some attention in the future. I'll probably do something with that. This was basically done on a very low budget, by the way, folks. I'm going to say that probably no more than about $1,300 was the total in this job. The paint job was already there. She's getting about ready for another one, but I can live with it. We picked up the badges, the tank badges from MAP Cycle out of St. Petersburg, Florida. They were about somewhere, I think, around $65 for the set. A friend of mine who helped me do with this job, Stephen Moranville, he's no longer with us, and I really owe 90% of everything was done to this motorcycle to Steve and his knowledge of Triumph motorcycles.